You don't want them to be excited about it. You want them to learn how to do the hard stuff because there's going to be lots of things in life they're not going to be excited about, and you're not preparing them for that. Paying their mortgage, paying rent, paying taxes. You see what I'm saying with this? You want them to learn how to do the hard stuff. Hi, welcome to the BratBusters Parenting Podcast. This is episode 5, and we're talking about chores. So this one's going to be a short one, I think, but it might, who knows, it might turn into something bigger. I don't know. But it's a pretty simple one to talk about, so we'll see how we go. I'm joined by my business partner. She does all my social media, my marketing, and all my business planning. Happens to also be my daughter. Welcome, Amy.
Thanks. Thanks, Mom. My name's Amy, and I'll be reading off the questions that you've submitted, and then also just asking my mom a few questions as well about chores in general. Do you have anything you want to get started on before we go into questions, or?
No, let's just start the questions. And also she said, oh, did you want me to mention a few things that I want you to talk about? I just like to say stuff like this. And I said, I am no good at planning. That's why she's the planner. I don't like to plan anything out. So I haven't heard these questions. I just like to figure out as I go along. So
Whereas I'm the opposite. I love a script. Give me a script. Give me what to say. I don't like doing things off the cuff.
I can't stand it. I remember once I used to do a lot of live TV and radio. And I remember once they said, we might actually, why would they have done that? Anyway, I was doing some TV thing and they said, yeah, we're not sure if we're going to go live right now or something. They said, we might tape it. Well, I was so nervous because then I always feel like you have to do a retake if it didn't go well. Whereas with live, I can just keep chatting and the mistakes don't bother me as much. So with live, but yeah, I don't like planning anything out. Okay. So questions.
So first question is from Antoinette from the United States. How can I get my 10-year-old daughter excited to do chores? I can't even get myself excited to do them.
Why do you feel she needs to be excited to do chores? That's the pleaser parent style. They have to like everything and they have to be excited and you want to please them. I would never want my kids to be excited about doing chores. To me, it's like I wanted them to learn how to do the hard stuff. That's where self-discipline comes in. So I actually love cleaning, but I mean, most people don't. But yeah, you don't want them to be excited about it. You want them to learn how to do the hard stuff because there's going to be lots of things in life they're not going to be excited about, and you're not preparing them for that. Paying their mortgage, paying rent, paying taxes. You see what I'm saying with this? You want them to learn how to do the hard stuff. So and then also you want them to learn how to earn the good stuff. So I like my kids to learn that they got to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. And they're both really good at what I call, or what is called, delayed gratification. I'm not. But my kids are both brilliant at this. Like if you were to put a cookie in front of me, my son, and my daughter, and you said, there's one cookie in front of you. You can have the one cookie now, or you can wait a half an hour and you can have 2 cookies. Now, I would have eaten the one cookie instantly, guaranteed. What would you and your brother have done?
Oh yeah, we would have waited.
Both of them. They learned that because I was better than my parents were at making them do chores. And they had to, if they said to me, can we go in the pool or whatever, I would have said, sure. As soon as you finished your chores, they would have raced around doing their chores so they can go in the pool. They learned you got to do what you need to do before you do what you want to do. Then it got to the point where they'd never even ask until they'd already done everything, like their homework, until they'd done what they knew they needed to do. That's why I have no memory of ever telling my kids to go to bed, do their homework, do their chores, because they just understood self-discipline, right? I taught them that by learning how to earn the fun stuff by doing the stuff you don't want to do. So no, I don't try and make chores fun. Why do you want to do that? Not everything in life is fun. How are they going to learn how to do the hard stuff if you're trying to make everything fun?
I think it also helped set up when I did go get a part-time job when I was a teenager. It helped that transition where like I was used to not doing all the fun things. You were like rejoicing the day that I had to clean a public toilet.
Yeah. I couldn't have been happier because I remember thinking, God, I hope they have to clean a public toilet. That wasn't their jobs, but at one point they both had to clean public toilets. And the reason they did was it was during their shift and something ugly had happened.
We won't get into details, but
they already know. They can figure that one out. But anyway, that was my point. I wanted them to learn how to do the hard stuff. They are both of them extreme, almost too much so. They're both tend to be overworkers. And I'd rather that than the other way around. I'm more over lazier. So my daughter and I are partners. So we're always trying to balance each other out. She's extremely driven, always extremely productive, 12 hours a day. Me, not so much. So we're balancing each other out a little bit. I'd like her to calm down a little bit and take it easy more. And she'd probably like me to amp it up a little. So we're figuring it out. We're new at full-time partnership here. So, but yeah, they're both brilliant at that. And I'm very proud of them for that.
Did you pay us for chores?
Never, ever, ever pay for chores. You live here, you contribute. I would never pay for a chore, but I gave them allowance. We'll discuss that separately in another podcast. I did give them allowance for no reason other than they deserve to learn how to save and manage money and spend responsibly. So I did do allowance, but I never would pay for chores. You live here, I'm not paying someone to take out the garbage. They contributed to it. Why would I pay them to do the laundry? Or, I would never have done that. Never.
Yeah. And for like a 10-year-old, for example, what do you think are realistic chores that are?
Well, and I'm backtracking a little. If they did something extra, like power wash the patio or something, I probably would have paid them for that, the extra stuff. But yeah, a 10-year-old can be cleaning up after themselves for sure. Put their dishes in the dishwasher, make their bed, all their dirty clothes go in the hamper, keep a clean room, pick up after themselves when they leave a room, stuff like that. And then when I ask them to do extra jobs, like, hey, can you take out the garbage? If my kids had argued or said no, they would have been doing something else too. There would have been other chores thrown on top of that. So yeah, they just knew you got to contribute to the household, but I didn't expect a lot. The reason is I love cleaning. I'm not OCD with it, but I'm borderline. But yeah, I love cleaning. So I never wanted to put that on my kids. I never wanted them to think that you have to be this fussy. So I always did the extra mile. I always did all the fussy stuff. I never expected them to clean at my level. My daughter's laughing. Okay, what?
This might be a good time to mention we had home clothes and school clothes.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up, sweetie. Anyway, yeah, I was very fussy. And they had home clothes and school clothes. As soon as they got home from school, first thing, and I still do it. Anyone who comes into my house, you wash your hands because nothing on my home has any film on it because everyone has clean hands when they come in. So they had to wash their hands. Then they had to strip down and get into their home clothes. I didn't want anything that had been at school to touch my home. No, I did not have that. That tent where you have to walk through. What's that called when they're
just like a hazmat suit?
Did not have a hazmat tent, but believe me, if they'd made those for home use, I would have had one.
But I do just want to clarify, she doesn't expect me to be like this now. Like I am very much not like this as a person. And so I grew up like that, but I'm not like that anymore.
Okay, the thing is that I never expected anybody else to be like this. I'm not judgmental about this. If I go into someone else's home and they're not fussy, I could care less. I only like maintaining my own clean home. I don't like cleaning dirty homes. But if someone left me at their house for a weekend to house it, they'd probably come home to a spotless home. So you leave me alone in a dirty house, I'll clean. But if I'm around it, it doesn't bother. Other people's messes don't bother me at all. But I didn't want my kids to feel that you have to be that way. So when they were teenagers, I allowed them to keep messy rooms. I just said, go for it. That's your space. Keep it as messy as you want. I only had 2 rules: no food and no dirty clothes in your room. And that was it. Other than that, that was messy. You should have seen my son's clean laundry pile that I used to throw in there. It was literally to the ceiling because it was on top of his dresser. So I love doing laundry. I didn't want them touching the machines and all that. So I did all the laundry because I love doing it. And so I'd throw his clean clothes on top of the dresser for him to put away. I don't think he ever put clothes away once, but I would ask his permission and I would go in there and do it. And he was fine with that. So I'd go in there and do it every so often. But yeah, I didn't want to put that on anyone else because it's just my own personal view. It's not something that I think is necessary for other people.
But I do think that having some level of organization probably makes it easier for kids to do chores.
Well, also, I'm more of a minimalist, and because our house was so clean and organized, it was very easy for the kids to do chores. So if you have a very cluttered house or a messy house, and then you ask the kids to clean up a playroom, I think that's unfair. I think it's unreasonable. But yeah, so like my kids, when I said clean your room, I did a toy rotation system too. So there was like five toys to put away, and I had an empty shelf where all the latest toy rotation system toys went. So it was very organized. Also, when I did laundry, I did it every day when they were growing up. And there was an empty hanger and an empty spot where their rolled up undies went, an empty spot where their rolled up socks went. So it was very easy for them to do. And making their bed was just a duvet. So they just had to pull that up. And the hamper was very nearby. So their dirty clothes just went in there. Everything was very organized and doable. And they never argued once. Not once did you ever argue about doing that because I made it so easy, and it started when they were 3. They're old enough to understand that they can pull up the duvet on the bed. They can put away their clothes If you do laundry every single day, they can put away the 5 toys that you have out because you have a toy rotation system. So if you have a very minimal, clean, organized home, it's a lot easier for kids to maintain that. I never expected my kids to clean dirty. Like I don't. I maintain clean and organized, and that's what I expected them to do. So I didn't have a big ask with that. So when I asked them to clean up, it was like simple. So yeah, I would never expect too much from kids with that because I think it can get out of hand. If you have a very chaotic playroom with all their toys out at any given time, which I can't stand playrooms, by the way. I wanted my kids playing at my feet when I was cooking, and I wanted them around me all the time. So yeah, it's just a personal choice. But the playrooms, parents tend to overload with toys, kind of get them out of their hair. So they're not watching you as much when you do that. I think you're a better leader if they're around you all the time. It doesn't mean they're interrupting and you're expected to play with them all the time. But I just wanted them near me all the time instead of throwing them into a very cluttered, very overwhelming playroom that they couldn't focus on. And then you ask them to clean that up. Completely unreasonable, completely unfair. If they've got all those toys there, just think of it. I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about. It's just crazy. And then you get mad because they're messy. Unreasonable, unreasonable.
Yeah, I think it wasn't even a question of whether or not we do them as well, because it became something like brushing out teeth. It was just something that you do throughout your day. It's like you brush your teeth, you make your bed. It was so easy to do that it was a no-brainer.
I don't know if I told this story on a podcast. Did I tell the story about the doll? The doll?
No.
Okay, I must have told it in a live or just told it to a client. I don't know. This is a cute story. My daughter was 2. And she knew the rule was before we went anywhere, I went around, made sure everything was picked up. Like I would never come home to a toy laying around, made sure everything was put away. So she was holding this little doll and she was only 2. She was really little. And she was going on about a baby. I don't know how she was talking, but 2-year-old talk. And I was saying, "Oh, you're such a good mommy. Look, you're looking at," and she was like really gentle with the baby. I love baby. And she was and I thought, what an angel. She's so gentle and sweet. And it was just beautiful. And I thought she's going to be a wonderful mother one day. So I said, okay, we got to go. Now she knew everything went in her room, all of her toys. So she was excited to go. We were going to pick up her brother from school, her hero. We are going to go pick him up. So I said, okay, let's go. And I never allowed toys to go with us. So she knew that the doll wasn't going in the car. But I didn't think about it. And she was running down the hall after me. As she goes past her room, she grabbed the doll by the hair and chucked it in her room as she ran. And I thought, maybe she won't be such a good mother after all. She knew she had to clean up, but this precious baby all of a sudden. So that was my daughter in a nutshell. She did follow the rules, but yeah, I was a little bit worried about her after that one.
Safe to say I'm not as maternal as you.
No one was. Okay.
Okay, next question. So Lottie from the United
Kingdom. From the U Kingdom.
Lottie from the UK. My son is 4 years old, and consequences such as taking a toy have stopped having so much impact on him, and he refuses to do chores. He hardly watches any TV, so media blackout doesn't mean anything to him. What should we do? Okay, I don't like talking about this so much because I don't want you starting here, but this is what you do if nothing else is working. So with the, if you're in the United K or anywhere else, or the United S, sorry about that. I'm going to get giggles now. Okay. So what you do is you invent leverage. So let's say you use the behavior board and and the rule is follow chore chart. And if they won't do a chore, then the consequence is that they have to do double chores the next day, or they have to do your chores or an extra chore. Okay. If they won't do that, then you take something away. You revert to the negative deprivation. So the negative deprivation, I just throw this out there because it's the most common one. And I just say 24-hour media blackout. Or you can take away a favorite toy. Anything that's their favorite, you take away for 24 hours. But you never take away love. Like if they sleep with a favorite plushie or something, you don't take that away. Now, here's what I was just referring to, the inventing leverage. If you have nothing to take away, you say this. You say, look, you're not going to do the extra chore? That's fine. I'll tell you what. We were going to be surprising you and going out for ice cream tonight. Now we're not going to. So you've just you were never going to do that, but you just invented leverage and invented something fun you were going to do, supposedly a surprise, and now you whipped it out from under him. Fine, I'll do my chore. No, it's too late. It's too late. Once you've said that,
you can't go back. So he's a lot less likely to do that in the future. Now, here's where a lot of parents get stuck is they say, so the next night, do we have to take them out? No, that was just a one-off surprise. That was it. And then he might say, so if I do all my chores tomorrow, no, that's a bribe. So if I do my chores, you have to give me ice cream. See what I'm saying? So be very careful with that. A lot of parents tend to overuse inventing leverage. That's why I don't like to start there. But anyway, that's what you do. If you've got nothing to take away, you invent something to take away. How's that?
Yeah. I guess as well, though, we're looking at implementing the first tips too. Like, are the chores fair and reasonable, or is your house organized? Like, all of that first.
Well, they don't have to organize the house, but yeah, have they done all their chores, everything that's expected of them? But also here's the thing is I'm not a drill sergeant. I was actually very easygoing with my kids because I got respect when they were little. So I didn't have to ever tell them to do anything. It was unbelievably easy, but I worked my butt off to get their respect when they were tiny. So we could have exceptions. Like, let's say we didn't want to do any, we'd just run out of the house and go and do something fun and the house was a mess. Rarely ever happened in my house, but you can do exceptions once your leadership is cemented. Okay, this is when you're learning how to get respect. That's why you have to be diligent and consistent 100% of the time. But once you've got it, you can be loosey-goosey and just have fun, be goofy with your kids and not worry about stuff. Is that true or not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So once you've got respect and it's cemented and you're the leader, then you never have to tell your kids to do anything. It's just easy. You sail right through. But you got to work to get there. I earned that. You got to earn it. It's not going to be handed to you. You've got to prove yourself as a leader. And then once you do, it's easy. Easy. I wallowed in parenting. It was the most fun I ever had my whole life. It was the most joy-filled time my whole life. I laughed every single day. It was just a blast. But that's only because I was a leader early on. I earned that. And then I was just able to relax and enjoy my kids.
I guess kind of going into this is, did you ever use chore charts or do you recommend them?
I do not recommend chore charts other than just getting them started with it. Like, watch that. Do the chore chart to get them started. And then after that, just let them, as they get older, just let them take responsibility. The reason is that I never had stuff like that. I never had chore charts, but my rule was sort of clean up after yourself. Like if there was toothpaste left in the sink, they would have cleaned it out. So the chore chart is what you do to get them in the habit of doing chores, but you're just teaching them how to have good habits. So you don't need a board for habits. So my kids knew that they just had to wipe out toothpaste out of the sink, stuff like that. So yeah. So it is a good way to start, but you don't want to end there. You don't want to keep going with that.
Yeah, it's like one of many steps, not the only step.
Exactly.
Okay, final question is Nana from Canada. 8 years old. My child talks back and ignores me when you ask her to do anything like a chore. She is a smart child, but thinks she knows everything, does not listen. But she tantrums. How can I implement the leadership parenting? I have the behavior board and it works, but we still get pushback.
Okay, the reason is the behavior board's sort of like the training wheels with all this. I think you just need a bit more. I can't go into everything else, but on the course, the boot camp course, that goes from 3 to 12 years old, and that teaches you how to be a leader. The behavior board's completely free. It's for 3 weeks. You do 3 rules in 3 weeks with the kids and yourself. You're on there too. But after that, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes after that. You've probably been more the pleaser parent for too many years. You just need a bit more. So the behavior board can work. That might be all some parents need, but you're just sort of that next level. You need a little bit more instruction. So I would recommend that you either look into coaching or just check out that boot camp course for 3 to 12 years old, because there is a lot to this. It's not just straightforward. It can be, but generally, if she's at that level and she's talking back at that age and she's still having tantrums, I would suggest you need more. You might even want to look into coaching. You just need a bit more help. That's all.
But I think just something that's like actionable. Maybe do you want to go over your top 3 leadership qualities?
Yeah, my top 3 leadership qualities for all ages, past the age of, I would say, 3 or 5. The last one is for 5-year-olds. The first 2 are for all ages, even babies, okay? So these are my top 3 leadership qualities. Number 1 is be calm during the storms. What I mean by that is when you're correcting their behavior, disciplining, you stay completely calm, no emotions whatsoever. You talk slow, you just act like this is just a business transaction, and keep it short and not sweet. I was going to say short and sweet. It's not so sweet, but keep it short and to the point. Like, oh, that was bad, so here's the consequence. And then forget it. Don't talk about it again. Number 2 is you be crazy during the rainbows. I was brilliant at this. I am crazy. I love crazy stuff. So that was my strength, was being really crazy during the fun times. I used to chase my kids with underpants on my head all the time. I just loved having fun with them. That bonds you with your kids. When you're really bonded with your kids and you know how to have fun with them in their world, they're much more likely to listen to you. So it's a combination of the two. You stay calm during the storms when you're disciplining and be crazy during the rainbows. That was the fun part, is I could just relax and just have fun with my kids. You really want that. But you got to do the first one. You've also got to manage the storms. So you deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid, which is the rainbows. Now, the third one is more for 3 to 5 and up. You become a great listener. You listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. Okay, so if they're telling you they're upset about something, this happened, say, oh, I can understand that. That would be frustrating. And then just see what happens. See if they ask for your advice. And if they do, I would have said to my kids, well, I don't know. Let's figure it out together. Or what would you do? I was always trying to encourage them to problem solve. And that also makes me look like a leader, because I'm building their pride and their self-confidence. When you're the source of that, they want to please you. So just to recap, these are my top 3 leadership qualities. You stay calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, and become a great listener.
I think that's a great place to end.
Okay, thank you. And we'll see you back next time.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out BratBusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit BratBusters.com/disclaimer.